Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. It is that time of the week again. It is upon us. It's Premier League predictions time. Match day 7 is upon us, and this round of fixtures throws up some very big games, some important games at that, at both ends of the table already at this very early stage of the season, but some intriguing games at that as well. Before we go any further in predicting the outcomes of these games, you know the drill by now, you know what we do here. I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things are always and very greatly appreciated. But for now, let's get into some Premier League predictions for match day 7 of the new season. We're going to begin with Saturday's lunchtime kickoff that sees Manchester United take on Everton at Old Trafford. United's unbeaten start to the season came to an end when Aston Villa beat them 1-0 last week, but did get back to winning ways midweek in Champions League action, whilst the Toffees heaped more misery on bottom of the table Norwich by beating the Canaries 2-0 last weekend. Big game this one. United need to get back to winning ways in the Premier League, whilst Rafael Benitez resumes his rivalry with Manchester United and will definitely want to get a good result over an old foe. Will be an interesting game overall. Will be interesting to see how United handle this game, especially with having been in action midweek in the Champions League. But whilst my heart says draw, I've got to go with my head, and I think that United will just about edge this game. I'm going for a 2-1 United win. Next up, the bottom two of the table clash at Turf Moor as Burnley host Norwich. Burnley drew 2-2 with Leicester last weekend, whilst the Canaries were beaten by Everton, as both sides are desperately looking to pick up their first victory of the season in this game. It's already a huge game for both sides, but probably more so for Norwich, seeing as though they haven't even picked up a single point yet this season, let alone a victory. It's a big game for both sides already so early on in this campaign, but all I can see happening here is that Burnley will be victorious. I'm going for a 2-0 Burnley win. Chelsea versus Southampton, our next game of focus at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea will be looking to get back to winning ways after their unbeaten start to the season came to an end last week at the hands of Manchester City. They were also on the losing end of a 1-0 scoreline midweek against Juventus in Champions League action as well, while Southampton also lost by that same 1-0 scoreline as they lost to Wolves last time out. On paper, this should, I say should, and I emphasise the word should, be one of the more predictable games to call this weekend, but as we've seen already, Southampton are no pushovers and have already taken points off of both Manchester clubs this season so far. But with that being said, I am going to go with the more predictable scoreline. I am going to go with a Chelsea victory, and I'm going to say that the Blues come out as 2-0 winners in this game. Next, we're at Ellen Road as Leeds, still looking for their first victory of the season, are set to take on Watford. Leeds lost very late on last time out against West Ham, whilst Watford fought back to draw against Newcastle. Interesting game this one. Leeds at home looking for their first victory of the season. Haven't quite found their form of last season so far in this campaign, coming up against the Watford side who have seemingly gone a little bit under the radar so far this season at this very early stage, admittedly, but still just a little bit under the radar, out of the spotlight, so to speak, and that might help Watford in the long run. But a game in which wouldn't be really surprising whichever way the result goes, with all things considered and the form that these two sides have shown so far this campaign. But my prediction here is for Leeds just to edge it, get their first victory of the season, and that's why I'm going for a 2-1 win to Marcelo Bielsa's side. Next up, the Wolves take on the Magpies at Molineux. Wolves were victorious last time out with Raul Jimenez back among the goals as they beat Southampton 1-0, whilst Newcastle drew 1-1 with Watford still in search of their first victory of the season. This match puts together a battle I'm intrigued by. Adama Traore of Wolves against Alan Saint-Maximin of Newcastle. That battle should be exciting to witness. It should be explosive. and I can't wait to witness it. As far as these two teams go, as a whole though, Newcastle still essentially their first win of the season, like I mentioned, but Wolves will want to start putting together some run of consistency. I'm going for a Wolves win here. I'm going to go 2-1 to the home side. The Seagulls clash with the Gunners in Saturday's evening fixture at the Amex Stadium. Brighton left it late to rescue a point against Crystal Palace on Monday night, whilst Arsenal come into this game off on the run of a 3-game winning streak following last week's 3-1 victory in the North London derby against fierce rivals Tottenham. There has always been an intriguing game to watch within this fixture, and I'm hoping that we have another interesting chapter in the history of this fixture this Saturday. Brighton near the top of the table, high-flying Seagulls, whilst Arsenal have certainly recovered from their poor start to the season. But in saying that, this is Arsenal, so bear in mind the inconsistency factor when it comes to discussing and talking about the Gunners in that aspect. I'm honestly not entirely confident with any prediction here, but if I have to stick my neck out on the line and call something, I'm going to have to say a draw. This game really could go any which way, but I'm going to say a draw, and I'm going to go for a Desmond 2-2 draw. Moving on to Sunday's fixtures now, and first we come to Crystal Palace versus Leicester at Selhurst Park. Both sides come into this game off the back of draws last week. Palace drew with Brighton on Monday night, whilst Leicester drew 2-2 with Burnley. Palace have had a bit of a steady start under Patrick Vieira, in all honesty, this season, whilst Leicester have been somewhat a little bit underwhelming, I guess is the word you'd use so far in this campaign. And that's why I can honestly see yet another draw playing out here. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in this fixture. The Tottenham Hotspur Stadium surprisingly plays host to Tottenham as they take on Aston Villa on Sunday afternoon. Spurs come into this game off the back of 3 straight defeats, with their latest coming against fierce rivals Arsenal, who they lost 3-1 to last week, whilst Villa were victorious last time out against Manchester United, ending their unbeaten start to the season. Big game for Tottenham. They need to stop the losing streak anyway, anyhow, but face a difficult task ahead of them in this fixture with Aston Villa. A lot of questions have been asked of Spurs this past week alone. It's time for them to step up and answer those questions. But in saying that, I honestly think that Villa will get a good result here, and that's why I'm saying that Villa will come out of this game as 2-1 winners. The penultimate game on this list is West Ham taking on Brentford at the London Stadium. The Hammers were victorious last time out, beating Leeds 2-1 last weekend, whilst Brentford gave Liverpool a very strong and tough test last week as they drew 3-3 with the Reds. This should be a very interesting game ahead. We know about West Ham's counter-attacking play and how strong they are. We know that Brentford are enjoying life in the Premier League right now and are fighting for everything, causing some problems for their opposition along the way. Will the fact that West Ham have played in the Europa League action midweek play a part in this game? It's something certainly to consider when casting your prediction on this game. And that is why my prediction here is that the game will end in a 2-2 draw with both sides sharing a point apiece. And finally, we are at Anfield for the biggest game of this round of fixtures, closing out the round of fixtures this Premier League weekend. It is the big one. It is Liverpool taking on Manchester City. It is acting as this weekend's main event for the Premier League fixtures, match day 7. Last time out, Liverpool, of course, drew 3-3 with Brentford in that incredible 6-goal thriller, while City closed the gap on the Reds at the top of the table by beating Chelsea 1-0 and ending their unbeaten start to the season in the process. It's another instalment of a clash between these two sides and another chapter in the rivalry between Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola. The tactical battle is going to be intriguing, the midfield battle is going to be ever so more important than ever, and battles all over the pitch will make this for interesting viewing. My prediction here, though, is that Liverpool win. Yes, there is a bit of bias there, I admit that, of course there is, but because they're my team. But I think that being against Manchester City at Anfield in front of what is going to be a hostile Liverpool crowd, I think that will carry the Reds over the line in this fixture, and that's why I predict a 2-1 victory in favour of Jurgen Klopp's side. But of course, as I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, and especially predictions of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of any of these fixtures to be played across match day 7 of this upcoming Premier League weekend? What are your own predictions? I'm sure they'll make for interesting reading down below in the comments section. And also, again, if you have any thoughts or feelings about fantasy football, Premier League fantasy football, who's going to make it to this weekend, who's not going to have such a good weekend, who are you putting in your team, so on and so forth. I'd love to know that as well down below in the comments section, along with your predictions. I'm sure everything along them lines will make for interesting reading. Otherwise, hit that like button on the way if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things will always and very greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch, this has been another Premier League prediction show, and I will see and speak to you all again soon in another video.